Hello, did I catch you at an awkward time?
I didn't watch it. I completely forgot about it until you just messaged me.
Oh.
I'm so sorry. Can we do it tomorrow? You're so mad.
No, it's not that.
I can watch it right now, and we can do it like when I'm done watching it.
I mean, you want to wait till tomorrow? You want to wait till a different day?
I can watch it right now if you want, and then we'll go over it as soon as I'm hot off of it. Or we can do it literally any other day. I have to live up to the fact that I forgot. I'm sorry.
What's up from SOG was waiting for this and I already went live. Okay,
Sorry.
what's up from shoot. It's up to you. I mean, I already kind of.
Why is your username Darth Darker?
Oh, that's a joke. I need to change that. I actually haven't changed.
Do you want to say hi to Jesse, even though you're live?
Hey Jesse.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good in an awkward spot right now.
Okay.
We can do it with me just here, and you can do the podcast with me just here. What can I do for you, Jeremy? I will literally do anything.
No, wait, calm down. I'm trying to think. It's always happening. That's why there's a lot of play spots. Already has something planned for tomorrow. To be honest, the first episode, at least from the weirdness that I saw, which isn't all that weird, it's just introducing the main character. If you wanted to watch it as I guess I talk about it, and if you want to interject anything you want, you can do that. I kind of feel bad that I already went live and I wasn't aware.
I'm so sorry. Well, you were trying to message me. I can see at 9:32 you tried to message me. So it makes perfect sense that you're trying to figure out where the hell I am.
Oh shoot. Oh damn.
Yeah, I will do whatever you want, but if
Hey everybody, welcome to, well actually you probably already heard us talking earlier. We're here for another anime. Oh, I should probably say this now. You brought up Vox Ex Machina. I did watch an episode. This is all off the top of the head, but to be completely honest, I'd probably watch it, but I don't think it's something that I would review, per se. If you're cool with that. I don't know, it's like... It's the first episode kind of has some off-putting things in it for me.
the first episode obviously also, it's like Trigun. The first episode comes on a little strong, but I agree that it's a little heavy-handed. So yeah, that's fine if you want. I just thought you'd like it. I thought you'd get a kick out of it.
I thought it was funny. Yeah, I got some kicks out of it. It was funny. Also, to be fair, definitely, I don't know what I was thinking it was gonna be, and I don't know if it's even changed its direction immediately, but I like the guy with the white hair and the gun. He's got some really dry humor.
Percy.
Yeah, I think his name is Percy. He's got some really dry humor. Is that really
He does.
humor? Is that even really humor? It's more just he seems so tired of this bunch.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that gets explained further if they get backstories. I'm assuming they do. But yeah, I just wanted to. I actually sat down and watched it after I watched this episode of Chainsaw Man. I was like, you know what? I'm here. I'm sitting here. I might as well just do what I said and, you know, make good on the promise that I made. So it's not like I wouldn't watch it. I just don't know if it's something I would review. Maybe you want to talk about it a little bit here and there when I watch an episode. Maybe we can do that on a like more casual basis. Even if we can do it here, like we just did here.
We don't have to like dive into it too intensely. I just think it's funny and I think it's a good series. So
I mean,
we don't have to review it formally if you don't want to, but I think it's good fun to like actually watch.
I mean, I'll give another episode a go to see what the heck happens. I mean, it ended on an interesting note that the entire village got wiped out. Also, I'm curious about the dragon, so it definitely gave me some questions. It was like, clearly that dragon was, I realized
The plot is really fun. Like, it's not like the energy is inappropriate and funny, but like the plot is actually pretty worthwhile. So,
I mean, speaking of
I think
there was boobs and dick everywhere. I was.
Oh, that doesn't stop, especially with the bard guy, the guy that sings.
Oh, I was hoping you said it wasn't going to stick around. Now you told me it's not going to stop.
No, it doesn't stop. They cool it down a little bit. Like they want to shock you into seeing that that this universe doesn't play by their normal rules, but like there's going to be all sorts of humor like that.
I guess they're trying to desensitize me. We'll see what happens.
There's nowhere that the bard character won't go.
Oh no. I mean,
there's nowhere that he won't go. I mean,
funny. I mean, he goes from
it
serious.
could be like,
he kind of goes from serious to not serious at any point, from what I can tell. So it's not like he has a meter. It's broken.
It could be like anything that like has a pulse, or perhaps had a pulse at some point, or resembles something that might have had a pulse, is fair game, as well as probably a few other things. And having a pulse is like kicks you straight up to like at least a C, and not having a pulse is not out of the question.
Oh, no.
And I mean that's pretty much him in a nutshell. And they could be. No. And by the way, like when I say having a pulse, let's not narrow it down to like one thing. You know what I mean? Or one creature, or one combination of things and creatures. Like there's nothing that he won't pursue in singular, in groups, or in a menagerie. So he's quite interesting. But the other characters, each have their own thing, and they're not quite as inappropriate. I mean, they'll drop some F-bombs and stuff like that, some of them, but I think I enjoy that you like Percy because he's my favorite character. It's not too often that our favorite characters are the same person.
I enjoyed what he was doing so far as like, I mean, they even come out with it to say that he doesn't seem like he wants to be here. I immediately clicked with him.
Percy is also basically the star of season 1. Season 2, he takes a really big backseat, but like season 1 is pretty much heavily about his story.
Oh, okay.
So if you like Percy, like the whole season 1 is pretty much about Percy. Season 2 seems to be about the elf twins.
They're kind of cool. I mean,
Vex and Vox.
The sister, her dragons. Well, not dragon sense. I'm not gonna call it dragon sense. I guess I'm gonna call it danger or evil sense. Intrigued me when it was going off in 2 places in one episode, which was interesting. So I also have to know about I'm guessing when you said it's about them in season 2, I'm guessing the entirety of season 1 they don't even touch upon.
Oh no, they do. Everybody gets good plot development. Everybody gets good plot development for sure. But it's about Percy. The season 1 is most heavily about Percy. The sister Vox. The sister's Vox, I believe. The sister gets a lot of a lot of airtime too, and everybody kind of gets their stories told to some extent and has plot development. But it's definitely like the story is most heavily driven by Percy in the first one. And then the second one, we're like 3 episodes in, and I'm like, Percy's there, but like it's not about him anymore, and it's very clear. So, like he got his time, and now they're kind of focusing on some of the other characters, including the barbarian guy. He's sort of got some plot development in the second season.
But he thinks like he had a backstory. I mean, apparently I'm wrong, considering you said that everybody gets some airtime. So, okay. I mean, if
he doesn't have even the bear that they take around with him. Like the episode that Jesse and I watched today is like the backstory of the bear.
The bear's got a backstory. Oh my god.
Yeah. So.
Okay,
yeah.
I guess enough of that. I guess if I watch episode 2 of season 1, I'll come back to you with probably even more questions.
Oh yeah, you'll be asking yourself questions about your life, not just me. But you may need like a priest.
Oh, I guess if we move on, you just kind of reminded me something that I kind of saw the script for, and I think I'm probably wrong. I'm actually hoping I'm wrong. But Gnome, I want to call her a paladin, but she's not a paladin.
He is a paladin.
She is a paladin? Oh, okay.
Yep.
I'm almost seeing the writing on the walls that she must have lost favor with her god. I mean, I'm just guessing based on what she's done and what she hasn't done. But
I don't want to spoil anything for her, but she gets a lot of plot development this season too, as well. I mean, season 1 she gets a lot of plot development as well.
Okay, I mean, I'm just guessing that I'm like, this is not really me asking you to tell me. I'm just saying that like I kind of seeing something's going on with her and her faith. I mean, I don't know, but okay, we'll just move on.
Sort of like she gets a lot of plot development, but she's like not in like 5 episodes.
Okay,
or something like that. So
that's crazy. Okay, I guess speaking of things and random stuff, we were actually here to review Chainsaw Man. I am gonna go out and just say this right now. A viewer asked us to give this a shot because apparently they want to watch it along with us. He doesn't appear to be here right now. He might be asleep. Yeah, he might have actually fallen asleep. But I guess if he's watching this as a VOD, hello, you get your wish. I guess just to start off, this show is I guess the best way I could put it, I just told Spear. I think it's weird. It's the character they start off with, the main character is kind of interesting in I guess a better way to say it, a weird way. It brings up a lot of questions. Apparently, we find out very early on in the episode that when it even starts, you know, his parents are dead. He's also apparently a devil hunter, because apparently there's devils.
He's got to be kidding me! A main character whose parents are dead? I don't believe it. It's out of the question. How could a main character have parents that were dead?
I mean, this thing kind of like follows a lot of just like stereotypes in terms of anime. Another one at the very ending. Well, I probably shouldn't say since you're watching it right now. There's no stereotype that a lot of shonens take, to use over and over again. But I can't wait as you get to that point.
Erica's really kind of the one that owns dead parents, though. So, in the defense of the anime, like, dead parents kind of belong to American culture. But, like, it's just like, hey, parent died, blah, blah, blah. And it's like almost every single American superhero show that you've ever seen in your life.
I mean, in this situation, apparently, this girl's kind of dark, too. The dark fantasy, kind of. Don't.
You mean because of the Chainsaw Pokemon character?
No. We'll get to that guy.
It's Pokemon with chainsaws.
I don't really think it's a Pokemon. I feel like it's just a plushie that they decided to stuff on top of a chainsaw, but that's how I'm looking at it. I guess it could come off as a Pokemon. I'm not even gonna get into that. But what was it that I lost train of thought there? I had something to say that wasn't all that important.
Oh, please, by all means.
I don't know what it was I had to say that wasn't all that important. That's kind of why I'm actually drawing a blank.
Yeah, I'm giving you a hard time.
No, it's no problem. I got things I gotta say, but I don't know where you are in the episode, so I can't say anything yet. A lot of
Feel
what I had to
free.
say,
Feel free to spoil it. You're
Okay,
spoiling 20 minutes for me. I don't mind.
Jesus. We go through the process. Oh, that's what I want to say. On the stereotype of his parents dying, I don't know how much stereotypical this is, but the mother died of a biological illness, and the father killed himself. And there's a mob after him apparently when his father was alive. Now he's taking on the debt. His life is completely gone downhill apparently, and he has this Pokemon chainsaw thing by his side. Who we find out very fast was a devil that was going to kill him, but then made a deal with him to heal himself off of his blood as a kid. So we now know that these guys have a bond from a long time ago. I say this to say, I feel like these two have a trope that I don't know where it's going to go. I think I know where it's going to go, but I'm going to give the show the benefit of the doubt. There are shows like I believe like Naruto, Bleach, Black Clover. Usually what happens to the main character, in these shows, there is like a entity within them that usually gets them outcast as you know, as nobody wants to deal with them. So far this show doesn't seem to do that other than outcast him because he has debt apparently. He can't live a normal life. But
I feel like that is a very common theme in anime too, though, isn't it? It
depends on who. I don't think it's the main character sometimes mainly that gets the debt. Usually they bring in a character that has debt, but usually
like
results in the money a gold digger. But I don't think
it definitely is like debt or poverty of like where you're not necessarily like living in the streets type poverty, but like you're constantly struggling for money seems to be a really common element of a lot of animes, not necessarily animes we often watch, but like if you're thinking like Chobits, Cowboy Bebop, Outlaw Star, all three of those movies are good examples of something where like debt is a major driving force. Like, do you remember
you name Trigun and Alaba? Aren't those main characters, even though they're kind of broke? Aren't they usually just an overpowered? They have like an overpowered skill or something.
Oh no, Cowboy Bebop. Trigun is not one of the ones I mentioned, and if I did say that, I said the wrong thing. Cowboy Bebop, Outlaw Star, and Chobits. Trigun. The insurance girls seem to have a pretty good amount of money, and Vash seems to never need money. They live a little lean, maybe, but like it doesn't seem to be a driving force.
I think my point still kind of stands though. Aren't the characters in those shows like aren't they normally just like really good at something? You know, they're not really learning anything. Well, I wouldn't say learning anything, but like they don't start off learning a skill set. Like they already have a skill set and they're already good at what they do. Isn't that what those main characters usually are like in those types of shows though? Like they don't start off. I mean, I guess here is the same. I guess he has a skill set.
I mean,
he has a skill set.
Have you seen Chobits?
Is that a show where apparently a guy, his wife died?
No, in Chobits, it's like a student who's struggling for money, and he basically finds like a living robot / doll thing that he has incredible amounts of sexual awkwardness with, that is innocent and sweet seeming, but has like there's plots and stuff like that I don't want to spoil, but it's like a seemingly innocent sweet thing that
Is this the type of thing where the guy's down on his luck and there's this beautiful girl that he somehow falls in love with, but she doesn't realize it?
Yeah,
except the entirety of the show going through this back and forth
with robots. Yes,
I've seen this type of show, not with a robot, but I've seen this type of show.
But it's defined by he's defined by poverty. But you also have Oh My Goddess. And what was that show I recommended to you with the... I'm sorry, that is Oh My Goodness. And then there's another one that I've seen recently where the main character is defined by poverty too. Where he... Hang on. Yeah, the one where I told you, I'm my goddess, and then the other one, is it wrong to hit on girls in a dungeon or something like that? That one, the main character is driven by the need for money almost continuously because all of the equipment that they want in the series
I don't know if
is.
that's really. I've seen that. I had to go back and actually. I actually intended to go back and I completely forgot. From the little bit I've seen shows, and I feel like, and this is just me looking at it from the background shows I've actually watched. I think that one. I'm trying to remember. Did Bell come from another world, or was he just born in that world? Because that
He
was
was.
because
he
was
seems
defined.
His backstory doesn't really seem very important, but it seemed like he just was kind of part of the world. I think he was like.
Okay, so this is an isekai. Never mind then. Never mind. I
Yeah.
thought maybe it was an isekai. No, it's not. Sorry, I take that back.
No. It's like a semi-anonymous character who suddenly found himself like blessed by the favor of a goddess.
He's also attractive, and also the person has a crush on him.
Right, but like it's like the premise is that it's like the character's semi-anonymous. Like it's not.
I still don't know if you consider
It's not like where he's from doesn't
power.
matter. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just he actually doesn't even matter. As strange as that sounds, like I don't think he's like very important to much of anything. Like he's just sort of like
There.
discount Midoriya. Like he's very Midoriya-like, but everybody just thinks he's great pretty much no matter what he does. Like he's just can't go wrong, you know.
I think my problem with that show, and probably why I haven't gotten back to it immediately, is that, and this isn't like this is a negative and a positive. I like shows that kind of build up the main characters' like abilities and whatnot, but if I'm not outright immediately interested into continuing immediately, usually what will happen is I'll watch a couple episodes and I'll drift away from it. Who knows how a matter of time, but I will eventually come back to it if something I see someplace else that comes in that show piques my interest. I'm like, where did that come from? And I've been actually seeing clips of one of his harem girls. Apparently, I don't completely understand where it's coming, where he came from. But
He doesn't really have a harem though, because he never so much as like does anything beyond like maybe holding hands with them or something. Like he doesn't actually.
Usually the type of this isn't really about, when they call a show a harem, it isn't really about him being sexually active with any of them or even attracted to them. Usually the harem just refers to the main character is surrounded. The main character, usually a male, is surrounded by a bunch of girls.
Okay.
That usually
he's
are into the main character, and usually every girl. This isn't a negative. I'm just saying that's kind of what it's referring to when they refer to a harem anime. Usually, each girl had a very weird meeting with him, and they eventually, fall for him. But unfortunately, because the main character is, like in his case, very dumb and very oblivious, he doesn't notice. So essentially, he's inadvertently spurning them, but at the same time, they don't care. And usually, the girls that surrounded him are really powerful.
Yeah. Okay, then that's exactly what that is. It's like I don't care about him as a character really at all. Like he's really discount Midoriya. Like I'm like, oh, this guy's like just a Midoriya, but like more like an archetype of Midoriya than like an actual Midoriya character. So it's like I didn't care about him at all as a character. It's just sort of like, okay, I accept that he's like Midoriya, and then beyond that, like it just, I don't know. I'm rambling a little bit, but like beyond that, like I was more interested in like how much like a video game that the story was, and then I wanted to learn about, like it was almost like watching a Let's Play or something. Like I was like, except a lot better. Like I was watching because I was really into like how the world worked and the mechanics of the world and how it was like a video game, but it wasn't. And then I liked when he got deeper into the world, and like I got to learn like some deeper things about it, and I got like a little more enjoyment out of that. But like it's absolutely a dumb show with characters that don't mean anything.
I mean, it depends. I mean, to play devil's advocate on that whole, the main character is oblivious and not literate. There are some situations in some harems where the main character is oblivious but also is kind of perverted. A good show for this example is High School DxD, which I actually need to go back and finish whatever seasons we got left that I haven't watched yet. But the main character there, and I guess another thing before you go back to this, to make a parallel, the main character in that show dies as well and ends up getting revived by a devil in that world too, but as an attractive girl. And essentially what happens is it leads to her claiming him for herself, and she's a queen. It's like a chess game going on in that world, from what I remember. But it's very perverted. Usually lots of clothes being ripped off from the girls when there's fighting going on. Each girl has a personality quirk to her, and she's very interesting. They got good backstories. It's just kind of like everything is wrapped up around these girls being really attractive and the main character being a virgin and being wanting these girls, and each girl kind of falls into a different type, an archetype. There's a nun in there apparently, if I remember correctly.
If I remember correctly, she was second to none, right?
Unfortunately for her case, no. At least she was the third girl introduced.
Oh, dearie me.
But back to this before I get struck by lightning. It's weird. Not that that's a bad thing. A lot of this show kind of falls into a lot of archetypes, which I guess is unfortunate for it because it's came in so late. Again, with the whole dying thing, at some point near the end of the episode, after he gets tricked and killed by the mafia guy that he was paying his dad's debt to, he gets tricked to following him into a which I guess was also written. You could see where this was going just based on where he was taking him. He ends up following the mafia guy into this secluded area. Finds out the mafia guy is actually got some contract with a zombie devil. By the way, they don't really go into too much how the devils got into this world. I'm guessing it's Earth. We just know they're there. Apparently, at some point, they just started showing up. I'm guessing. What happened? I have no idea. I hope that they go into that because it seems kind of random that there's just a bunch of these monsters running around. And there's hunters. Apparently, authentic is what the dove said. I don't know what the sub says calls them, but there are authentic devil hunters, but apparently the main character isn't one. Essentially, he gets killed by a zombie devil, and we get a little backstory with Pochita, the little Pokemon plushie chainsaw thing. That apparently it was revealed that sometimes devils can take over human bodies to revive them and live out their life, I'm guessing. Apparently, the main character, I think it's Tenchi or something, gave Pochita permission to take over his body if he were ever to die and to live a normal life and get out of the town that they were in. This happens surprisingly after he gets cut into pieces, and in a really weird, really messed up way. It was kind of sweet. That essentially this is what happened. Pochita, lived to revive his master. And then as this is happening, he gets revived, and then I guess he's in some type of like inner world, I'm guessing. And the little guy starts speaking to him, and he's like, I want to see the world that you want to live in, or the life you want to live or create. And essentially revives him. And I guess the guy disappears into him, I'm guessing. I don't know how this is working. I guess that's why I say that usually the main character has like a little demon or something inside him, and his, that gives him power. This is what I assume. This is what he's doing. So I'm guessing Pochita isn't gone. That's my guess, though. I don't know if he's gone or not, based on the way he disappears. I think he's gone, but I highly doubt that. Because after he revives him, the zombie devil is surprised, saying, "How did you survive that?" "Well, I'm gonna eat you this time, so that way you will die." There's this little chainsaw thing on his chest. they all, after he pulls it, he gets surrounded by a bunch of monsters, and then you hear a revving sound like you hear from a chainsaw. Comes out of the thing, and he's got a chainsaw thing like all for a head with teeth, and then his arms are split apart where there's a chainsaw like coming through there. And essentially,
so is that his permanent form, or does he like?
No,
is
he
it like
doesn't
a
say it like that.
transformation?
Apparently, he just transforms and he pulls that lever from his chest. That little like thing you pull on a lawnmower or whatever. It's on his chest.
So it's like the mask meets Stanley Kubrick.
When you say the mask, are you talking about that Jim Carrey thing, or are you talking about something else completely different?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Jim Carrey.
I don't know if it's really. It's
Like Stonewall, dude.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to really think.
Alrighty then.
I don't know. If you said alrighty, then I would so laugh. But
I did.
no, if he said that.
Oh yeah. Alrighty then. Everybody's dead. That'd be good fun.
I mean, he literally kills everybody, every single demon. I mean, every devil, whatever you want to call him.
He should like kill a room full of demons and then walk out covered in blood and be like, "Do not go in there."
Dang it, there's a lot of missed opportunity. Because none of that happens in the Isn't that in that first episode? There's a lot of missed opportunities there. He pretty much demolished the entire room of demons, pretty much saying that, once this is all gone, I can just move out of the city and live a different life. He does all that. Then apparently there's a car that comes up out of nowhere in this secluded area, and 3 people walk out of the car. And they walk in there and they see him, and they say, "Is he a devil?" And the girl with the pink hair. By the way, I want to bring up too. Earlier on in this episode, he said before he died, he wanted to, go out of a girl. He gets his wish here.
A girl or like a specific girl?
Just a girl.
I want to go out with a girl, basically Bulma, like in Dragon Ball when she wanted to find a boyfriend. I'm not kidding. I'm serious. It's a serious question. Is it basically the same concept?
I guess, because I mean, a girl shows up and pretty much flat out on uncertain terms. I'm a devil hunter. You have 2 choices. You either come with me and become my pet, or I kill you. And
come with me if you want to live, huh?
Essentially.
Okay.
He obviously takes the bet.
She's pretty though. She's got like violet hair, and she looks like maybe like she's a cyborg. Am I wrong?
I don't know. Like as far as I know, that she's a human who's able to fight devils. I don't know what's going on here. I'm just as new to this show as you are.
She looks very Men in Black to me. That's all I'm saying.
They all look Men in Black. I don't know what's going on here. I'm guessing they're devil hunters because that's the only thing that makes sense to me why they're here. Because they knew about the zombie devil apparently before they even got here. Yeah, he pretty much says he's like, all right. He's like wondering what's on the table. Apparently, like I guess at the same time, it's like this is a better deal than where he was living, because he was living in a shack essentially before all this, by himself with a demon chainsaw. So I guess becoming somebody's pet is probably an upgrade.
Yeah, nothing wrong with being a demon chainsaw pet, right?
I'm guessing that's what he's gonna be.
I mean, it's like a boy and his chainsaw, and it's the boy and his chainsaw hamster. Like it's a really touching little like classic story format.
I'm sorry, did you just say a boy and his chainsaw hamster?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure that's what you said. Moving on.
It's the touching story of a boy and his chainsaw hamster. Like, what's wrong with that? Don't judge it.
I want to say I have so many questions, but I really don't.
You've known me for too long to have questions.
Is that sad?
I hope not. I like you.
The episode first ends there. I saw the preview. I know I didn't. I only saw the thumbnail of the next episode. Clearly he moves because the title of the episode is that he's moved across someplace. There appears to be some guy with a samurai sword on his back. again, this show is weird and it hasn't really justified why it's weird to me yet. I'm expecting Pochita to come out at some point, talk to him in his mind about like I'm not dead yet or something like that. So far, as crazy as the main character looked in his transformed state, I thought he was gonna go insane and start killing everything, which he did, kind of go insane and start killing everything. But like, he still kept his humanity. They make it mention that he's not a devil or a human, so I hope they give a name towards what the heck he is. Thoughts? Regrets?
I think it's good. One thing that struck me is how clean the animation style is. I wouldn't call it like nuanced detail, but the quality of the frames, like individual frames, is really good. The details that they do put in are good. It's like a little bit...
But they go 3D a little bit when he's in his action scene.
Yeah, like when the car drives off and stuff like that.
I highly doubt that they're going to keep that up. I mean, this season's already done for, I can tell it's like 12 episodes, so we'll see when we go further into the season.
Yeah.
But I don't expect that they'll do. I mean, they'll probably do it when he's like fighting a really like just like a really strong enemy. They'll probably show that, and maybe they'll do it again for like, I guess, training fights. I'm guessing. Again, I don't completely know the power scale. Well, I'm guessing like any new show we watch, we'll get the power scale next episode probably. If not the third episode. So I don't, because my thing is like, okay, he's got a chainsaw. He's really powerful. He can mow down essentially just about anything. Well, if they're a low level, he can mow them down pretty easily. So clearly he's stronger than they are.
Well, I feel like that's just a bunch of jabronis for the beginning to like...
I mean, that's what I was saying. I mean, they're like low level, clearly. Even that
I
big
mean, it's
thing.
like, I think they're just sort of like establishing his power right now, and then they'll give him something worth it. You know what I mean? Worth his attention afterwards. But like, I think that's why we're seeing that right now, is that they're just putting in place how strong he is and like getting us hyped up about him, because it's just episode 1. Like, they want you to they want to make a good impression on episode 1. Like, if he almost got his butt kicked on episode 1, the pretense of him being a high power like character would be much more difficult to establish, I think.
I guess I just like, I mean, I understand the point of this episode was to show us how powerful he is. Again, I know these guys aren't strong, they're low level regardless.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things where it's like, I don't completely understand what's going on in terms of his power level here, if there even is one. I mean, obviously over 9,000.
It's like, let me get... Oh my god, you went there. The pretense that I'm saying... Have you seen episode 1 of Red Garden?
No, but I think I heard of it. Why?
Because it's like very, very similar in gore level and some other things to this one, but it takes a completely different take on how it handles episode 1. The main characters of this series are schoolgirls, but they're also the main fighters of the series. They start out as like 4 different schoolgirls that all go to the same school. I don't think most of them don't know each other well. Like, they're not like very familiar with each other or anything like that, and they all die on the same day for different reasons, and then they're brought back, and so far as they can tell, like they didn't die. Like, so far as they can tell, they're like perfectly fine. And then they're compelled by these red butterflies to all go to the same area, and they're like, well, what's going on? Like, why are we here? Like, hey, I know you. Like, they're all like, you know what I mean? You were at my school, right? And they're having this conversation. And then a zombie comes in, and just like zombie demon thing comes in that's like a person, but like really powerful, and then just starts bodying all 4 of them. And as they're fighting it, as they're trying to run away, grabs on one of them and they kick it, as they're trying to get away, just reflexively, and it kicks it across the screen, and they're like, wait, like, what the hell? You know what I mean? I'm not supposed to be able to kick like that. And they all sort of find out that they've got some sort of like power that they don't understand. But after the first one, they're just like, they had no idea what was going on. They have no idea, like, the whole thing's surreal to them. Their powers like activating on reflex alone, and they have no information about what it is, and they're all like upset and deeply scarred by it. So what you have there is like the superhero, they both tells a gory scenario story of because like they have to completely destroy that thing. They both tell a gory story about the characters. All four of them die, and then they fight something to the death that like takes bites out of them and stuff like that, and then they wake up and they're healed, and that's part of the intrigue. But they're the prey, even though they're the superheroes in that scenario. In this one, he seems like he's just sort of going on a killing spree, and the show's getting you used to the idea that there's going to be a lot of blood and gore and humor and Cowboy Bebop style grittiness with him, like with a cigarette in his mouth and things like that. But like, you do get that feeling that he's on top of things for the most part, given the circumstances. Whereas in the other one, it's like you feel like they're completely out of their depth, but they had the superpower that kind of like carried them through anyway, because they were just too powerful to lose in that situation, just because their reflexes were so strong. But they're like, holy crap, like we shouldn't have lived through that. What's going on? But he seems like he kind of enjoys himself. Is that accurate?
I don't know if he's in. That's the thing. I'm trying to figure out when he pulls that. Granted, he gets a second lease on life, and he's doing what he wants to do now that he's going to kill everybody in this room.
Yeah.
It looks like he's enjoying himself. At the same time, I don't know if he's really in control there, or if he. Cause that's the thing. Is I don't know. I guess ultimately, when I get confirmation that either Pochita, that little dog thing, is dead and he just fused with it, or two, it's in his brain space somewhere, and he's able to communicate with it whenever he wants to. That'll ultimately help me figure out what the heck is going on with his abilities, and maybe if he's in control. But I guess for right now, he seemed like he was enjoying himself. And honestly, if I'm being honest, it was kind of cool to root for him there, because he had a pretty bad life up to this point.
And plus, there was nothing to like about the enemy. It was just monsters.
I will
very
say
easy to root for somebody when it's very easy to root for somebody when you have to hate the enemy.
Yeah, that's true. I will say, and I don't know how accurate this is, but in the dub, the voice actor, I know you haven't watched Yu Yu Hakusho, but to me, I guess if everybody can confirm this for me, to me, the voice actor sounded like he was either Frieza's English VA or Genkai from Yu Yu Hakusho. But the thing is, Yu Yu Hakusho, Genkai and Frieza both were the same person. So it'd be really weird if that voice actor is. Well, I guess it would be weird, but it's interesting that the voice actor could still keep that voice going if that was in fact her. But actually, I can look this up really quick. I need to know. I was gonna look this up before, but I forgot to. So far, the show is interesting. I'm not gonna. Everything I've said, which is it's ripping off whatever, or it's stereotypical. Isn't negative points per se.
I wouldn't say it's entirely derivative though. Like it seems like it's got some things going on. Like I said, I'm impressed by the graphics. I think the graphics feel. I'm not always a fan of 3D. But I like the feeling of the graphics, and like I said, it's not unbelievably detailed, but I like the small details they choose to put in.
Yeah,
they didn't have to have him meet Chainsaw Hamster in the rain the way they did with like the little like bits of like flour and stuff like that out there. They didn't have to have a street light that the car drove under when it was turning right. Like each scene has usually like one, possibly two interesting things going on. Like the guy's covered in blood and you see the pipes in the background, stuff like that. Like it's not riddled with detail like some shows are, but like each scene has one, possibly two things that make it more interesting than usual, you know? And I think that's kind of like enough to be satisfying for the first or second watch. I think like it doesn't have like, it's not like the MCU where you watch it 500 times and each time you get something different out of it. But like, I think it's somebody put some good thought into how they were going to draw this, and I'm guessing that part of the reason for that is because gore, when you have a show that's built around gore, like what makes gore memorable is always like the little detail. Like I was explaining this to somebody once, like they wanted to go as a zombie for Halloween, but they were having trouble finding like a good costume for it. And I said, well, that's your problem. And they're like, what? Like, you want to go as a zombie, but a good zombie costume would also be a costume of something else, but in zombie form. Like, you wouldn't just go, like, if you want a really good zombie costume, it has to be the second costume as well, like a zombie bride or like a zombie doctor or something like that. You know what I mean? And it's when you have that a specific attention to detail that you get a memorable zombie. Like people don't remember zombies, but they remember that one zombie, you know, like when I remember like anytime I think of a zombie in my memory, like I think of one that stands out for a specific reason. Like I remember the first time I saw crawlers. Do you know what crawler zombies are?
Zombies that crawl on all four legs.
No, it's a zombie that's just basically a torso and a head.
Oh.
And they're crawling because they don't have a bottom half of their body. And they're like slower, but they're still they're just as mean. You know what I mean? But they're like, that one stuck out in my memory because I'm like, oh, it's not just a zombie, it's like a zombie with sort of a story to it, you know? But when you see it just a zombie that's just a zombie, it's not as powerful as that. Like, when I did my zombie costume years ago, I went as a redneck zombie. So I wore like a puppy dog bathrobe that I went out into the yard and ripped up and dragged over a barbed wire fence and stuff like that. And I had like a beer hat on that was like torn up and bloody, and you know, and things like that. And that was like what made the difference between that and just a guy in street clothes with green skin, you know, that looked gangrene. So I think that's like when you're picking an animator for something like this, if they don't have the imagination to add a little detail to something like all the time, like always be thinking of that one detail that's going to make it more memorable. Like when they do the focus on the faucet, for example, and it's rusty, you know, and there's like a drop of water just sort of like making its way out of there. Like if you look at a faucet and it's got like one drop coming out of it, like there's a compulsion to watch that drop until it falls and like be sort of like keeping score in your head about how long it's going to stay, you know? And they did that. Like they gave you that to look at, and you didn't get to watch the drop fall, but like it kept your attention for a second while they were like establishing that they drove into the area. So I think that like the side effect of having a really good gore artist is if they have to draw something normal, they still have that habit of making something memorable about it.
I mean, yeah, like I said, amongst the things that I kind of picked out that were kind of something I've seen from another show, I expect it's gonna it's gonna bring its own story. Like I said before, how did the devils get here? And like, clearly, the world is adapted to it. You can see that. I mean, it isn't like a giant mess. So it's happened over a course of a long time, a long period of time. I guess we don't really need to know why they're here. Maybe the first day they showed up, maybe just to show like, okay, the world was different before they showed up. But I wanted to confirm something because I remember watching this dubbed. I probably continue to because I guess all episodes have been dubbed at this point. I was in fact correct. Linda Young, the English VA Frieza, was the voice of that zombie devil.
That's cool.
So that was Frieza's voice I was hearing, and I could have sworn I was hearing it. I was like, why do you sound like Frieza?
Side question, is Frieza voice acted by a female or a male?
Yes.
the English dub version of Frieza, is it a female or a male?
Yes.
What do you mean yes?
No, guess.
Oh, guess. I thought you said yes. I thought it was a female.
She is.
Okay.
So yes, all those years ago, people were listening to Frieza's voice and was wondering if Frieza was supposed to be a man or a woman. Frieza is in fact a male, but Frieza was voiced by a woman.
He's it's one of those irritatingly like ambiguous male-female characters.
Here's the thing,
like
though. Here's the thing, though. A lot of male characters in any fiction are actually voiced by women.
Yes, but the writing of Frieza is also ambiguously male and female, and there's like a lot of things about that character that like.
I think you talking about Dragon Ball Z as it was coming to us in America. I think a lot of that was America's fault, and I say that because again, when Dragon Ball Z was coming over here, it was one of the more popular. I'm not gonna say one of the first because clearly there was a lot more shows before Z came over here, but it was the first commercially successful show that reached out to everybody. Also,
I mean, look in the
trying...
chat. Like, Frieza almost ambiguously has boobs. Like, it's like right on the line between really good pecs and boobs.
I'm not gonna look at that. I've already seen enough Frieza for my lifetime from that angle.
Frieza, I mean, and there's definitely not any junk going on there. Like,
Frieza's an alien. I mean, like Piccolo.
It's an alien, but we picked a gender for it, and we called it a male. And like,
Piccolo is.
But it's like
Piccolo doesn't have any junk down there.
Yeah, but Piccolo also lays eggs to reproduce.
Just this Frieza doesn't do that. Frieza's race, I mean.
Piccolo is not male.
Piccolo,
there is no gender.
People refer to Piccolo as he. I think even Piccolo even answers to he.
Well, the genderless pronoun that's generally accepted, especially with a place that's very awkward about English translations anyway, and is mass producing stuff, like, it's just easier writing to call someone he with the way the English language works.
I'm just saying,
but
they were changing a lot of things. The translation was not good. People still argue that it isn't good. I have to argue that it's gotten better over the course of the years. A lot of things don't get lost in translation anymore, which is cool. We still got a long way to go, but it's a lot better than it was back when Dragon Ball Z was originally getting dubbed. A lot of things. Even I use Dragon Ball Z. There's another infamous. Before we leave here, there's another infamous translation error that people have to refer to. If people have seen the original airing of Pokemon, The Adventures of Ash Ketchum, there's a scene where Brock, one of his friends, he's a cook of that makes food for them. He makes rice balls. He calls them donuts over here, and that causes so many problems. And you would think it's not that big of a deal, so what they call rice balls donuts, but it caused a lot of problems over here. It caused so many problems. Because some people, those are donuts. Donuts are round and have a hole in the middle. Like, it caused so many problems. I think they changed it later on in a fix for that scene, but yeah, there's a lot of shows that got over here that did not have a good translation, and unfortunately caused a lot of problems with Japanese and USA relationships with anime. I think there's a point where we weren't even allowed to dub anything anymore.
We weren't allowed to dub any. Oh, there, I can see that.
I think there was a point where dubbing was something that they did not like. They didn't like when they dubbed it over here, which is why I think over the course of the years,
there's a lot of there's a lot of bad karma, like in the community anyway around dubs. Everybody generally says that if it's not a dub, that pretty much automatically makes it better, right?
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I really don't, and
I don't either. But that seems to be the understanding. Like if you're,
that's because dubs are bad, pretty much. Well, I mean, people who like dubs more.
Dubs are bad. Mm-hmm. Sorry.
I deserve that. No, but to feed to both sides of this whole spectrum.
You shouldn't do dubs.
The people
I'm done.
Dang it. The people that preferred sub, the main argument, and I agree with the argument, the main argument for it is jokes just don't translate into English very well, and a lot of it has to do with the fact of onomatopoeia, just Japanese regularity. Well, not regularities, but Japanese the way Japanese speak, the Japanese speak. A lot of their jokes depend on inflection. A lot of words mean a lot of things. There's like a lot of things going on, huh?
Puns.
Yeah, puns. A lot of there's a lot of going on in their language, and unfortunately for the English language, there's a lot of meanings for certain words, but you kind of have to put words in an order that makes sense to make a pun or whatever. Speaking English isn't the same as speaking Japanese, obviously. But then the people on the other side of the spectrum who prefer dub and I really don't like the argument they pose here. I don't like reading the words beneath the thing, and I can see why, because it may take you may be trying to read what they're saying to really get what they're saying, and you're missing that.
I read really slowly, so I have a tough time with it. I mean, even when it's in English and I can follow it, I can't. I struggle with the presence of subtitles. Even if I can hear it, my eyes wander to the subtitles and want to read it. And I get pumped when I find a difference between the subtitles and like what they're saying. So I get these little like dopamine doses when I see that like they're different. And then I feel like I found a secret or something, and then it makes it worse.
I'm just saying, I'm in the middle here. I think both should be there. Now, honestly, I will admit this. If the dub is available, I will more likely flock to the dub. But it's not because I find subtitles hard to read or whatever. I just got used to it. But like, if there's an English dub, I honestly like to give them the benefit of the doubt, because dubbing's getting better. Jokes have gotten anime companies are starting to actually hire translators, and actually good translators are really hard to find, obviously. But when you get a good translator, the dub really does really good. Actually, I honestly think that like My Hero is probably a good example of dubbing done right. I don't think there might have been a joke here or there that might have slipped through. Dang it, I'm not from the South, by the way. That might have slipped through, but I don't think it suffered from it. I think a good example of maybe jokes slipped through was that episode from whatever season they had the tournament between class 1A and 1B, and they had that comic book hero and then that other hero that used sound effects or whatever. Those two I think really probably suffered because unfortunately I don't think you could translate them too well into English. They probably did their best, but probably that episode did better probably dubbed because of Eastern and Western differences in speaking. But I think things have gotten better.
For me, like my all-time favorite example of good voice acting from anime to English would be Princess Mononoke. I mean, that was like no expenses spared, quality like animation translation for the voice actors.
I think anything Studio Ghibli done translated English is probably really good. I mean, people don't start a flame war on this. I'm just saying that I think Studio Ghibli has, when it comes to dubbing their stuff, did a good job. Again, those are movies, and of course they're going to spend all the money they can to make that movie good.
Yeah, and I don't know about sparking a flame war, but like I would say that like I think everybody would pretty much agree that Studio Ghibli does well with everything.
So,
there's people that don't like anime whatsoever and still can get on board with Studio Ghibli being like different, or don't even understand that that's anime too, like they see it on a completely different region level, like now it's just like another thing like Disney and Pixar and stuff like that,
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I used to think about Dragon Ball Z that way, and then I learned much later on that I was wrong because that was not American made. I will not get into what a lot of my high school life was like watching anime. But
Speed Racer, a lot of people don't realize Speed Racer's an anime, and you tell them that and they rock. Yeah.
I realized that years later, and also I guess that's a good example of bad English translation.
Yeah, well, it was like the first scraping roots of the genre.
Oh dear God. Okay, enough with barbecuing old anime for no reason because we can. I think we'll end it here. We'll see what episode 2 is like and come back to you.
I mean, if we're being fair, before we cut that, if we're being fair, like anything of that era animated was like rough around the edges. Like, if you ever want to see something that didn't age well, go like watch an old 80s episode of He-Man. Seriously, like you'll be blown away. Like when I was a kid, that was like the apex. Like Thundercats was like the apex and still lives on in legend for a lot of people.
Oh no, when you said Thundercats, I started hearing the dialogue in my head. Please don't do that to me again.
Thundercat, like, do you remember Dragon Ball Z's like budget savings technique of just having someone like do a crap ton in a single frame? They would just have like music overplaying and like a person looking dramatic, and you're trying to think what they think as they stand there, and like the frame is almost completely not animated, and they're just sort of like still framing it. You get that with like Thundercats, but when I was a kid, I didn't see it. Like I had no idea. But now I go and look at it, and I'm like, dude, Panthro, do something. Like, what the heck? And he's just standing there, and he's like, I cannot see the bottom of this pit. And you're like, okay. You know, you're not so bright, dude, if that's as far as you've gotten so far. You've had like 30 seconds to think about this. And I feel like I didn't pick that up at all as a kid, but like, I don't know, like early 1980s anything, late 70s anything is like rough. Like, go watch some like Huckleberry Hound or something, like something that became, or even like Flintstones. Like, go watch something that became a household name from back in the day and realize how bad it is.
I'll still fight you on stuff that being bad. I think that aged really well. But
we're talking about, it did age well, but we're talking about animation style.
Well, that was made in America, though. I mean, I'm not gonna get this. I understand that things.
That's why I said anything. I'm not talking about Thundercats was made in America too, unless I'm mistaken. But like, if you look at the animation quality of anything Hanna-Barbera, any pretty much anything else from back then, it was like when Batman the Animated Series came out in the 90s, blown away by the quality of it. And then I got spoiled on like Justice League Unlimited, and I was like, Jess, if you like these, let's go back and watch some old Batman. And like, the story is great, but compared to Justice League Unlimited, some of the animations that came out after that, it doesn't hold up quite the same, you know?
Well, I mean, they got better at it, and that's the unfortunate side effect.
They got better at everything. Like, animation as an industry became better, and that's the point I'm making. Like, it's not really Speed Racer's fault. It's just take Speed Racer's animation and voice actor quality and put it next to something that's had 40 years of industry advantage to grow, and you're going to see a different quality product. And some things age really well, like Disney stuff ages really well. But go watch Robin Hood, like Disney's Robin Hood. Holy crap, the quality of the animation is not what I remembered it. Like, there's some stuff like Lady and the Tramp held up well, Jungle Book held up well, but like some of the stuff that is like celebrated that you watch from back in the day is not what I remembered. I wanted to show Jessie, because she'd seen almost no Disney growing up. I wanted to show her some stuff. I'm like, let's watch Robin Hood, because I remembered how much I loved it. And like, I put it on for her, and like, we're in like half an hour, and I look over it, and I'm like, I'm so sorry.
You know, people probably wondering why he didn't say that. No, you don't know him. I'm pretty sure he did that exact thing. He probably got up, when his knees, took her hand, and said, "I'm sorry, please, but don't divorce me."
It was so bad, and I gave it such hype. I don't know, but there's just some stuff from back then that if you watch it now, you're like, it's like, man, I remember this ex-girlfriend as being really hot, but now I'm sitting here and looking at her. What the hell I was doing, dude?
Okay, with that little tangent over, we're gonna we're gonna end here and let Spear ponder the hottest of his ex-girlfriend alone, and we'll come back for another episode. Dang it. Goodbye, folks.
Good night.